Okay, back again. So once again, welcome everyone to our TEP Information Centre to help you assist in your nomination for the Brolga Awards. Firstly, I want to begin by acknowledging the Larrakia people, the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. Pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We have our first guest speaker today will be Susan Webb, who's been looking after the Brolga Awards for 14 years, which is absolutely fantastic. So she will know absolutely everything you need to know and is available for assistance as well. Now, if we have any questions, after each speaker, we will have a little question section. So please put any questions in Zoom. Hopefully we'll get to all those questions. If not, we'll definitely get back to you as well. So before I start, while we start, I'll just introduce Susan Webb, Enterprise and Tourism Awards Executive at Tourism NT. The topic Susan will cover is why to enter, what categories to enter, the key dates, what's involved, and how the judging will work. So I will pass over to Susan.
Thanks,
good morning.
Michelle. And good morning, everybody. Thank you for dialing in this morning and being part of this session. It's really great to have you interested in the Brolga Awards. As Michelle said, I've been with Tourism NT for 13 or 14 years now and doing the Brolga Awards, and having worked in the industry for 20 years before that, I'm really passionate about the industry and about you guys and about the NT. So for me, it's really wonderful that I get a chance to work with you on the Brolga Awards. So I have got a presentation which I think Shana's just going to pop on for me. We will send this presentation to you afterwards, as well as a Brolga Awards guidebook as well. So you'll get those today or tomorrow or something. So yeah, that'll come through for you shortly. So
and the session is being recorded as well. So once it's been recorded, we'll edit it a bit and get it on the Tourism Top End website for you to have a look through again. Or if you've got other industry people you know that are really keen to enter the Brolga Awards, you can forward it on to them as well.
Terrific. Okay, so why enter? So the Brolga Awards are part of a national awards program. So all the categories, the criteria, the rules of entry, the questions are all set at a national level. So it's the only way to get into the Australian Tourism Awards. And obviously, it's a great way to showcase your product on a national level, which we'll talk to Annabelle later about her national win. The Brolga Awards are a business award, so it is based on your business. So it's submission based. So it is looking at basically 5 core elements of your business, and I'll go through those a little bit later. But it's a great way for you to reflect on what you've done in the last 12 months, and then perhaps put some processes and changes in place for about what you want to do for the next 12 months or for longer. So it's a great way to reflect on what you've done, your achievements, and then look to the future. Great way for your staff to get involved, talk to your staff. I know, having worked in hotels for many years, it's generally the hotel sales and marketing person that gets the great honour of putting together a Brolga submission. You know, if you're that person, get out into the kitchen and talk to chef or talk to your housekeeper about what they're doing, because it's quite amazing about what different teams in businesses are actually doing. If you're a sole operator, well, then it's a great way for you to reflect on your achievements and, write down what you've done throughout the year. If you're accredited, so if you've got QTF accreditation, there's a lot of work for your Brolga entry that's already been done. You already have a business plan, a marketing plan, some customer service guidelines. So you've got lots of things that you can already draw on to put into your Brolga award. For those that aren't accredited, there is a section of the awards as part of the nomination that you need to complete some business standards. And basically, once you've completed those business standards, then that is basically your level 1 QTF, your accreditation that is ready for you to go. So either way, you've got some great outcomes there for if you want to go through with QTF accreditation. So great way to go. And at the end of it, once you've done the work, we get to have a great night out and celebrate with the rest of the industry. So that's always good fun.
And we have Shana here in the background, looking after all our wonderful technical stuff. You can see her hand there. Shana looks after the QTF program for TT, who manage it for the Northern Territory. So any questions on that? And with the accreditation, our board made the decision at the end of last year as a support to help businesses through the post-COVID period, is that whereas any full member of Tourism Top End receives level 1 accreditation free of subsidised, which is fantastic. So if you're not accredited at the moment and you're going through the nomination process, we'll follow you up, and your level 1 accreditation, you'll be accredited because you're doing that work already. So it's a great incentive as well.
Absolutely, great bonus. Okay. So the categories, so there's 25 national categories. So the winners of these categories go through to the Australian Tourism Awards. There's categories really over the broad width of the industry. So there's attractions, there's festival events, tour and transport operators, a whole range of accommodation options, restaurants and catering, food tourism, destination marketing, and then you've got some specialised ones like heritage and cultural, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander tourism. And then we've got one that was new last year, which is tourism, retail and hire services. So I'm sure we can find a category for everybody.
Yep.
There is a couple of categories as well that are only in the NT, and these are to recognise individuals. So we have the George Dunn Outstanding Contribution by an Individual. That's to recognise somebody that's been involved with the tourism industry over a number of years, and really has not only had an effect on their business through working in their business, whether it be a hotel, a tour operation, but is perhaps impacting other businesses in their region or throughout the territory. And then we also have the Skull Tourism Industry Employees. So that's for anybody to basically nominate a staff member. So a staff member that, is doing great things in your business, consider nominating them. So those nominations are open, to recognise, the great people that we have in our industry. There are another couple of categories that we have in the NT that are not nominated for. The judges, when they get together for their deliberations, are asked to choose the most outstanding entry of the year. And so then the chairman basically makes that choice. So that's the chairman's choice for tourism excellence. And then we also have the Tourism Ministers Award, which is obviously decided on by the tourism minister. So there are a couple of other entry categories that you can't nominate for, but are sort of decided. Yeah. Important dates for this year. So nominations are open, and if you haven't already nominated, we would love to have your nomination in so that we can start working with you now. Nominations will close 31 August. And your submissions will be due on the 12th of September. We have an assistance program, which I'll go through in detail a little bit later on, but that's available from today right through until the end of August. So really, really recommend that you take advantage of the assistance program. Once we get nominations through, then it's all handed over to our chair of judges and to the judging panel, and they basically have 4 weeks of judging submissions, your review pro scores, online reviews, and also if you don't have QTF accreditation, then a verification meeting. We have our awards event this year, which will be held in Alice Springs, and that's on the 12th of November. And then the Australian Tourism Awards will be held in Sydney next year in March. So, and I'm told it's after World Pride, which is on in early March. So it'll be obviously later in March next year. So for anybody that wins a Brolga, you obviously get automatic entry into the Australian Tourism Awards. So they are our key dates. So obviously nominate now, today, and then your submissions are due by the 12th of September. Okay, so rules for entry. So a lot of people come to me and say, Susan, I want to enter category 1, category 7, category 9, category 13, a whole range of categories. So I guess my recommendation is read question 1A, okay? And question 1A, if I just get my little guidebook out, question 1A is describe the nature and history of your tourism business as well as key features of your business plan. So my recommendation is look at the category that best reflects your core business. So if you're accommodation, look at the accommodation category that best reflects your core business, and that will be dictated by the star ratings. If you're a tour and transport operator, if you do adventure tourism and you think you can answer your category questions and you can answer that question coming from an adventure tourism perspective, then enter that category. It's fantastic that you're passionate and you want to enter lots of categories, but please start with one, and then if you're super keen and want to do more, then obviously I would encourage you to do more. But start with one, and start with the one that reflects your core business. The qualifying period for the awards for this year is from 1 July 2021 to 30 June 2022. So basically, anything that's happened in that 12 months, that's what you're going to talk about in your submission, okay? So last year's awards, because we hadn't had Brolgas, was a 2-year qualifying period. This year it has gone back to a 1-year qualifying period. Now, there is a couple of exemptions to that. So a new tourism business, and I note that some of you that are looking to enter this year are considering the new tourism business. This category is for a business that has commenced trading in that business in that time. So it's not for a hotel that's changed brands, because that hotel was already trading. It's not for a business that might have changed ownership, because that business was already trading. It's for a brand new business that has started in that qualifying period. So I just want to make that one clear so that you understand that. For festivals and events, now sometimes, and let's take the example of Darwin Festival, which is obviously in August. A lot of their planning, or a lot of the planning for that event would have happened the previous qualifying period. So while you would be talking about the event from the qualifying period, it's okay to talk about planning and things that have been put in place outside the qualifying period. So that's just an example of just where you can refer to a different qualifying period. So just so that you're aware, okay? We have 4 judging components. So when I first started Brolgas, it was all down to a submission. And I remember my first Brolga Awards, people would bring in their beautiful bound 30-page documents and beautiful leather folders and big boxes, and there'd be bottles of wine with it and all sorts of things. And to go to judging day, I used to have to pack a semi-trailer of all these submissions. Now it's all online, which is fantastic. So it means our judges can read your submissions online, but there's basically 4 components. So there is a verification meeting. Now the verification meeting will only take place if you don't have QTF accreditation. So if you are QTF, you've covered all the bases. You've ticked all the boxes that are required for the verification meeting, and so you don't need to meet with a judge or a member of the QTF staff. If you don't have QTF and you've entered the information in the as the business standards, then you'll meet with a member to go through those elements. Okay. The second component is a desktop online review. The judges are given approximately about 10 questions, and it's worth about 5 or 10 marks, depending on the category that you're with. And basically they're yes or no, but that thing calculates a score. So do you have a website? Do you have social media channels? Do you respond to feedback on TripAdvisor? So things like that, that will obviously get done by the judges, and then it adds through to your submission scoring. Those are part of the Australian Tourism Awards judging. So that comes through to the Australian Tourism Awards judging if you're a winner. Submissions. So at the start of your entry, you will be asked, I think it's about 3 questions about an overview of your last 12 months. And that can be an overview of, has your trading been impacted due to COVID, or have you closed for part of the last 12 months? It's not scored by the judges. It's just to give them a feel about where your business has been in the last 12 months. So make it short and sharp. There is no need to give a really long, detailed response. You want to give your detailed response as part of your submission, where you're going to score points. So this overview of the last 12 months, short and sharp, but give the judges a little bit of a feel of where you've been in the last 12 months. How judging works, and I'll go through it in a little bit detailed later, but all categories are read by teams of 3. So we have 3 judges allocated to each category. They score and provide feedback individually, and then they come together for a deliberation day. And they must be in agreement for a category winner at the end of the day. So if 2 of the 3 judges have said, Joe Blow's Tours is the winner, and the 3rd judge says, well, no, I think it's Johnny Black's Tours is the winner, well, then they need to come together and be in agreement at the end of it. So and sometimes I believe, and I'm not part of those conversations, but sometimes those conversations can be pretty passionate, because the judges obviously want to make sure that we award the best Brolga entrant, best Brolga winner, and then obviously have really good entrants going through to the Australian Tourism Awards. So, and Kirsty can probably tell you about some conversations or some passionate conversations that have happened on deliberation days, I'm sure. Your submission is worth up to 70%, depending on the category that you enter. So just a word, what happens is we finish our judging in October. The Australian Tourism Awards judging pretty much starts at the end of October, early November. So pretty much the national judges are judging our winners for the nationals before you even know you're a winner. So there's no opportunity for you to go back and alter your Brolga entry for it to go through to the Australian Tourism Awards. What you submit is what's going to be judged all the way through, okay? And again, Kirsty will give you some hints and tips about, don't just think like you're entering and you want to win a Brolga. Think like you want to be on that national stage, and make sure you sort of let the judge know who you are, where you are, and what you're about. And this year, it's really exciting, and it happened for the first time last year. We have a consumer review element in the Tourism Awards. So it's based on your Global Review Index, which comes from Review Pro, and it can be worth up to 20% depending on the category that you're entered. And this is also part of the Australian Tourism Awards judging. And I've just got a little tip later on about Review Pro and making sure that you've got enough reviews to generate a score. So I'll come through, talk about that a little bit later. But as part of your QTF, you actually do get a platform to Review Pro. So there's another great reason to, do your business standards, meet with Michelle and Shana, and then, get your QTF happening.
100%.
So yeah. Submissions. So refer to the question set of the category you're entering. So the guidebook that Michelle will send you out today, that has the question set in there for tourist attractions. So if you're entering adventure tourism, your category, those questions will be slightly different. So just make sure you refer to the category that you're entering. Once you've nominated, what I can do is I can actually send you the question set as a Word document, and you can start, if you like, dropping in some ideas and some thoughts into that Word document, and then, you know, we can then obviously look at transferring it over into the portal. So just a good way to start, I think, is to have a Word document and start dropping in your information. So as I said, there's basically 5 questions. So you have your COVID-19 impacts, obviously no score, an introduction into your business, business development, marketing, customer experience, and responsible tourism is back. So last year we didn't have a responsible tourism question, but it is back this year. So that's important to note, that if you have entered last year and you're sort of going to use last year's submission as a starting point for your entry for this year, you'll need to basically start from scratch for question 5, because you won't have done it last year. And then generally the question, the judging is 70 marks for your submission, 10 marks for the online review, and then 20 marks for your consumer rating from Review Pro. So that's generally how we get a score. I'm not going to go through these in detail because I will get the girls to send it out, but I've just put together some hints and tips for you to consider when starting. So as I say, if I send you a Word document once you've nominated, please use these hints and tips to maybe start your dot points, because these are things that I've seen throughout my time for entrants that have considered entering. It is by no means the full list, but these are some things that I think really good tips to look at what you should be considering for your responses. Have a look at the questions. You know, question 1A, which is worth, I think, 4 marks. Well, make sure you put the time and energy into that. If question 1B is worth 7 marks, well, obviously you're going to put a little bit more into that response. So just have a look at the question, have a look at how many marks it's worth, and then just make sure you frame your responses with those. But this is a bit of an overview. I guess my response here would be, you know, your introduction to your business is why did you start your business, or tell us about your business. What's the history of your business? I mean, this question, you can talk about things that have obviously happened outside the qualifying period. You know, if you're a tour operator that's been, you know, in business for 10 years, fantastic, kudos to you. Tell us about why did you start the business, you know, how's it evolved. Tell us about who you are, what your passions are. The judges love to hear those stories about you. Put your passion in. Love a sense of humour. Put that into it. You know, it doesn't have to be dry. Give us your passion, because, you know, that certainly will shine through. And there's, you know, a few other points in there that I've included as well. I guess really important too is a map. Where are you? Where do you go? You know, if you're a tour operator, put some maps in as to where your tours go to. You know, if you're a hotel, you know, give us some pictures of your hotel rooms. You know, what's the difference between a standard room and a deluxe room? Give us some pictures. Get the judge going, wow, okay, this is fantastic. I want to book a night's accommodation there. I want to go and stay there. Oh, I want to go out for dinner there. That looks amazing. Whatever the case, you want to get the judge in and really honed in on your story, so that they want to continue and really loving your entry. Okay, so this is your chance to really set the tone of your entry.
And we are a people business.
Absolutely.
So you should be selling yourself.
Yeah. And, you know, you all do it so well. You all can really talk about your business and, you know, whatever. So, you know, yeah, this is your chance to shine. Again, with our assistance program, put some dot points in, and then we can shape it out as part of our assistance program. Question 2, business development. So tell us about the changes and improvements that you've made in the last 12 months. They might have been changes that you needed to make to stay in business. That's fine. How have they impacted you? How have they meant that you'll be here for another 12 months? You know, it's all about, for at the moment, it's about resilience and recovery. So, you know, totally understand that. So you might have put some things in place that haven't worked. And that's okay, because not everything that you implement in business works, okay? Be honest. You know, the judges can tell, they like an honest story. You know, if you started doing a new tour and it didn't work for whatever reason, tell them about it. You won't get penalised if something hasn't worked. These are business people. They understand that not everything in business works. So tell those stories. They're a really important part of your business. So think back to what your responses were in question 1A, and then use those 1As for your business plans, your goals and your strategies. Marketing, you know, I sit down with people and I say, who are your target markets? And people say to me, everyone. And it's like, well, not everyone is really your target market. So let's talk about who your target market is. Who is actually coming through your doors? Who are your bums on your seats of your tour? Tell us about that. You know, it might be school groups, it might be corporates, it might be people from, you know, Victoria, you know, it might be whatever, families, that they are your target market. So it's really not everybody. So give us a couple of demographics as to tell us a story about who they are. And then what sort of different strategies do you use for your target markets? Because if your target markets for a hotel are corporates and school groups, for example, you would be using different messages, different images, different ways to communicate with those different markets. So tell us about the different ways that you attract your different markets. What research have you done? Those sort of things. This one's a really important one to have some measurements with, and then the use of images. I can't stress enough how important images are in your entry. Really, really important. You can use up to 25 images throughout your entry. Use them. You know, I'm sure you've all got great images of being on tour or hotel rooms or functions or events, whatever. Use your images. That so
tells 1,000 words.
Yeah, it does indeed. It does indeed. So really important. The customer experience, you know, you all do it well. You know, tell us about how you deliver feedback, all that sort of thing. You know, your staff training, your policies and procedures, you know, that sort of thing. I'm not going to go through it word for word, but you know, it's really important part of our industry, obviously. Responsible tourism, and I guess this is quite important because, as I said, it wasn't in last year. So question A of this response is about environmental, the impact your business has on your physical environment. So that's water, waste, energy, fuel, etc. So that's the time to drill down into that. Question B is about the social and economic impact of your business to your community. So if your business was to close down, what would be the impact? So if you're in Katherine, for example, and you're a hotel in Katherine, what would be the impact if your business closed down? You know, how many people would lose jobs who are then spending money in Katherine? You know, the butcher store that is getting your weekly meat order, you know, the Woolies that's getting your grocery shop, you know, the fuel station that's getting your fuel, all those sort of things, you know, add up how much you've spent in your community, because that's a big impact. It might be that you get school groups that come through and kids are doing work experience, you know, those sort of things are really big impacts. So talk about the impact that your business has on your community. And tell us about who your community is. Tell us about Katherine. You know, if you've made it through, or not if, when you've made it through to the Australian Tourism Awards judging, and you've got a judge down in, I don't know, Karratha, who's judging they might not know about Katherine. So tell us about your community of Katherine, so that they get an understanding of how important you are to that community. And question 3 is the ethical impact on your community. So working with traditional owners and things like that. So again, nobody would have answered these questions last year. So really important that you put some focus, I think, into these ones. I think over the years, the judges have said that this question is usually answered the poorest, and I think it's because people run out of steam when they get to question 5. So, you know, question 1 is probably an easy question to answer because that's about your product, about your history. So maybe you don't start with that question because that's going to come easy. Maybe you start with this one and you try and maximise your full points and you know, get on the front foot with this one. There you go. That might get you a win because you're maximising your points at the end of it. There you go.
And I think with this one too, it's good to look at your business. Some businesses don't sit down and see the impact they have on their community, on or what you're using. It might help you save money if you're going to sit down and have a look at how much water and energy and fuel that you might come up. I mean, it's not just to enter the awards, but from a business point of view, I think it's really important to look at all those things, and you might be able to come up with savings while you're doing a question like this.
Absolutely.
So it's the bigger picture stuff by looking at your business and doing this sort of stuff.
Yeah, and it is a reflection of what's happened.
That's it.
And so that, you know, you can take those.
Moving forward.
That's right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yep. So how does judging work? So you've put your submission in. What happens next? So once we have our judging panel, all judges need to declare conflicts of interest. So they're given a list of who the entrants are, and if they have any conflicts, they need to declare those, and they will not be involved with any of the judging for that entrant. So it might be that it's a personal friend. It might be that, you know, they do marketing things and they've done some marketing for a business. So we will take them out of anything to do with that entrant and that whole category. They also sign confidentiality agreements. So nothing is discussed outside the panel. So for me, if an entrant comes to me or a judge comes to me, it's not discussed with anybody else in Tourism NT. It purely stays with me. Our chair of judges is a gentleman by the name of Mr. Imagery. He lives in Melbourne. He's had a lot of time in the Territory, has set up a lot of businesses in the Territory through his previous roles, and he oversees the panel with great rigour. I think he's very dedicated to the process, and he takes it really, really serious and makes sure that you know, it is kept very, very confidential. As I said, we put together teams of 3, and we have a team captain who is allocated, and then they are basically in charge of the team to make sure that each member reads, scores, and provides feedback on each submission. Sometimes the judges won't provide feedback on a part of the submission. It might be that you've done provided a great response and they've got nothing more to add. So don't get disheartened if there's not really big feedback on some points. You know, they might have looked at it and gone, look, they've really nailed it. I'm giving them full scores. I can't see anything more that they could add here. So, you know, sometimes they might give you a lot of feedback on a way to enhance a question. Take that on board for the next year. That's really important. But you know, they are asked to provide feedback where they can. If any entrants, as I said, do not have UTF, then a meeting will be held to go through a series of questions to make sure that the business standards are met. And then on deliberation day, each team meets with the chair and the auditor to discuss the results and agree on the category winners. So the 5 of them get together, and as I say, if 2 have said one entrant, 1 has said the other, by the end of the conversation, they all need to be in agreement. The online score and the consumer score is then added to the submission score to obtain our winner. Just a little note that a single entry category is not guaranteed a winner. So if we have only one person entering a category, it doesn't mean that you're going to be a winner. You need to get to the pass mark, and for the judges to go, yes, we want to declare this person a winner. you know, to be awarded. So don't just assume that, you know, you think you're the only one that's going to enter that category, you'll be a winner, because it really doesn't work that way. And we follow the Australian Tourism Award judging standards, so we follow those guidelines. So very much once you've put your entry in, it's handed over to Dino and his team with the auditor, and they take care of it from there. Once they're finished, it comes back to me, and then I can start planning a party. So that's that's basically how our judging works. So yeah, so Tourism NT is not involved with any of those judging or anything like that. It's all over to the chair and the judging panel. I just want to mention Review Pro, because, you know, Review Pro and your online reviews is now worth up to 20 marks. And because the qualifying period is until the 30th of June, today's what, the 21st?
Yep.
So you have 9 days really to lift or to generate a Review Pro score. So if you don't have 25 reviews on TripAdvisor or Google or whatever, and you haven't got a Review Pro, a GRI, then please use the next 9 days to get one. Because otherwise, if you don't have one, it's a 0 score. And there's nothing I can do about that. So please, and if you don't know whether you've got a Review Pro score, reach out to Michelle and Shana. They can definitely help you. But if you don't have those 25 reviews, then please use these 9 days to get some. That would be my little question quickly. I can't read that. What does that say?
Narrator's just asked a question. Why rely on Review Pro when it doesn't pick up on all the locations that people leave reviews?
Look, we have tried mystery shopping. We've tried just using TripAdvisor and then generating a score out of TripAdvisor. It doesn't work. And from a national level, they felt that Review Pro was the way that they could do it consistently across a number of categories. And that's what they've made.
And it does pick up over, I think, 200 different platforms. But yeah, look, if you're not sure.
If you're not sure and if you want a hand, Shana is saying, talk to me. So pick up the phone, send Shana an email, and she can talk to you about that one. So yeah. Why aren't I working? There we go. Oh, Shana, have I done something? Oh, there we go. Okay, so what support can we provide entrants? So we have a range of support programs available. I am going to preface this to say, please nominate, because I don't know that, I mean, it's great that you're coming to this session today, but if I don't know you're nominating and you leave it until the 31st of August to nominate, then I can't really give you much assistance. So get your nomination done now. It's obligation free. It doesn't cost you any money. If you decide that you can't have the time, you don't have the time to finish, that's fine. We're not going to hold you to it, but I would urge you to get your nominations in as soon as possible. So support. Last year we introduced a support package of up to $1,000 for businesses to engage a writer or a consultant to help them with their entry. We've got that support available again. You must apply for that through Tourism Top End or TCA, whichever you're a member of. That is only available for business category, so the 25 business categories, it's available if you're entering one of those. It's only one per business as well, so you can't, if you've got a couple of different businesses, you can only get one, so just so that you're aware of that. And it is limited, so you know, it's not exhaustive for everybody. So again, nominate, because if you haven't nominated, we need you to nominate, so then you can obviously get that support. Workshops, so obviously today's the first one. I think we're looking at a few more different options along the way. Obviously, once you're nominated, you go on our database and you'll hear about different workshops that are happening. If you're an entrant in 2021, you will have had feedback from last year's judges. So use that as a starting point for your entry this year. If you were a Brolga winner from last year, you would also have the feedback from the national judges. So use that as a starting point as well. For those of you that do not have QTF or star ratings, you get an hour of support to help you do the business standards requirement of the entry. Again, once you're nominated, we know who you are. If you need that support, then we'll reach out to you to help you. One-on-one mentoring appointments. My calendar is bare. I need some appointment time. So reach out to me. I am here to talk to you. Once this session is over, I can send you a Word document of the category that you've entered. You can start dropping in some dot points or some ideas of what you want to do within your submission. I can meet up with you. We can talk about, yep, this has hit the mark. This is fantastic. Or I have seen this on your website, you haven't mentioned this at all. What about concluding this? So we can go through that. We will give everybody up to an hour for a submission mock review. So basically, once you've finished your entry in the portal, there is a button that you can hit to request a mock review, and basically feedback will then be given to you in the portal about ways that you can enhance your entry. That closes 31 August, and that then gives you time to take on board any of those suggestions to improve your entry before you submit for judging by the 12th of September. And then we're also offering up to 2 hours, again, through the portal for proofreading, so basic typos, grammar, spelling, that type of thing. I think that's something that the judges really don't like is spelling errors and typos and things like that. So if we can clear up some of those things, then obviously that really, really helps along the way. But we're here to help. So please, sing out, use myself, use Michelle, Shana. We all want you to have success in the awards. So please don't go it alone, reach out. How to nominate, brolgaawards.com.au.
Easy.
And my details, obviously you can get me at brolgaawards@nt.gov.au, or there's my number. This will come out to you as well. So there you go. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. That's been really comprehensive. And as we said, we really want as many, from a top end perspective, as many of our members to enter. Like, it's just a great recognition of your business, and and a good way to look at your business and see where you've done really well, and for years to come to improve. It does take a little bit of work, but it's worth the work to sit down, and very often you don't sit and look at your business. So it's a really good opportunity, and you get a reward at the end of it, hopefully. And I think it's about, yes, it's about the reward at the end of it, but it is about, reflecting on what you've achieved in your business. 100%.
And then going, look, this worked really, really well. Let's focus on this in the next year and build on this. Or this didn't work, so let's drop it. Let's not waste any more time on it. Let's drop it. Let's continue with something else. So it's a great way to look at your business holistically and put plans in place for the future. So think about it like that is my recommendation. So
Huge thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you.
And as Susan said, we will email out the presentation and also the booklet with more detailed information on there as well. And don't forget, if there's any questions, put them through chat and we'll try and get to them. If not, we'll try and get a copy of them if we miss any, and either myself, Shana, or Susan will get back to you as well. So thank you. Our next speaker is one of the esteemed judges. Kirsty Sayhan, you've judged not only MT Awards but the National Awards last year, so welcome online.
Yeah, thank you very much. Oh, jeepers, Susan, after all of that, I'm not too sure how I can top all of that and add more, but I will give it a try. But I certainly remember those the good old days with the big binders and everything, and that was 20 plus years ago when I was a manager and for a visitor information centre in WA and worked in an RTO, and you know, it was always a lot of work and they were massive binders. Also, my first bout of judging, that was writing those awards, so that was pretty daunting, and then judging after I'd finished at Tourism NT and I was on a maternity leave, we still had the binders and the folders in that first round. So I'm not too sure what I prefer more, because I do like bits of paper in my hand, and it is a challenge to do the online portal and read all of that. And I remember last year I was actually school holidays down in sunny Katherine, and I was reading away in my camper at a caravan park there, and it was challenging, but I really enjoyed the process, so I'm glad to be involved. So I suppose that's a bit of where I'm at in my headspace. But the number one thing I think I can say is just absolutely wow the judges. Get us in straight away and show your enthusiasm for the industry. So think that maybe, you know, she's a mum and she's on school holidays and she's a judge and she's sitting in a camper in Katherine. Wow us with where we could go next on our caravan or camping or holiday journey in the Northern Territory. So really inspire us and make me think, yep, that's where I want to take the family on our next trip. Hook us in with whatever it is you can absolutely, you know, sell as the best point for your product. So that's what I say is my number one tip. Yeah, make me want to say, I want to stay there. I want to go on that tour. I want to enjoy that festival or that experience. The next one would be to use your time well. And Susan's given all the timelines to go through, or, you know, this breaking it down. And for me, I would use it like old school study plan back to when I was in year 12 and we had this many days to the final exam. Well, break it back down. How am I going to work on question number 1? How am I going to work maybe next is question number 5, as Susan said. Can I put butcher paper up in the tea room and get everyone to contribute this week to that question, or question number 2? So actually have a bit of a plan and break it down, because absolutely you can read as you're going through and people are so excited at number 1, and then it starts to go, oh, you know, you can see people going, oh, bugger, what am I going to write for this one? I think I've already answered it. Or just treat each question individually, because we score individually. So even if you might have think, oh, I said that in that intro when I talked about COVID, but I'm judging question 4A and you didn't say it here. So I need you to say it here so I can score you here. So that's, I suppose, break it down and use your time well, and just make sure that you give good attention to every single aspect of every question. And write with passion and enthusiasm. So imagine you're at a trade event or you're at an expo and you're talking to an agent or you're talking to a consumer. That's how I would like it to read and to talk to me. So don't use acronyms and, you know, we all know what ATDW, blah, 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 TTE, Tourism NT is. Well, how about you just talk like you were talking to an average punter or someone out there in the industry? So that's, I suppose, you know, write with that passion and enthusiasm. And make me cheer for you, I suppose. When you are coming down to those deliberation days, you know, I want to be able to go, but I read the passion in this application and I understood what they were saying when they spoke so highly regarded about their staff and their team and the locations they visit or their hotel or whatever it is. So make me cheer for you, not just even maybe at a Brolga level, but at the national level as well. So make me cheer for you, as I suppose that passion and enthusiasm there. The next tip would be don't go it alone. And Susan, who I first started working with 14 years ago, has a absolute huge amount of knowledge for everything to do with tourism awards. So wherever possible, I would put Susan's number in speed dial in your phone and ask her for any assistance all the time. I was actually blown away by the level of tourism support for entrants this year. It's a lot more than last year. So use it and abuse it. And it might not just help you with your Brolga Award, it might help you in every aspect of your business. So different people outside of your business will see things differently. And you may think you've answered that question, but when someone else reads it, they go, oh, but they just didn't get the crux of the question answered. They talked all around it, but they didn't get there. So other people reading your submission, as sometimes shame job as that can be, it really is going to help you quite a lot. So grab any support from everyone you possibly can, your mothers, daughters, brothers, wives, husbands, everyone, get them to have a read and see how they perceive your application to be. I did say this before, but answer every question, break it down, read every question. If a question asks for, tell me about your experiences and this, 5 different things in one question, or break it down into each section, because some judging can come down to 0.5 of a point. So you want to make sure that if there's a 0.5 you can get to get you over the line, that you absolutely get that 0.5. You've got, and Susan might correct me, 10,000 words and 25 images. So use everything you can, but don't waffle. So just get to your point, sell it with passion, and really make sure you're answering that question there. And I suppose in terms of the imagery, be careful about, I found it hard when you're using the program and you are downloading from that caravan park in Catherine, that really you use good images and not too busy infographics. They can get lost. You really can't understand the really detailed graphs at all. So really make sure they are clear and succinct when you are looking at what you're using to demonstrate your product. I absolutely loved case studies, particularly when I was judging at a national level, and I didn't know where perhaps different places were in Tasmania or in South Australia, but I love the case studies from the client's perspective and the staff's perspective. They were able to tell the story of the business, not just state the facts. And I think that to me is so much about the tourism industry, is telling the story of where you are, telling the story of your business, telling the story of country, of culture, of everything around you. So use case studies and back up all your claims as much as you can with stats and data, because that's a really easy thing for judges to do. When you say 92% of the people come to my business and they come away with a greater understanding of the culture of the land we're on. Well, and here's a survey that we did, or here's a end of tour, breakdown of how people came to that. So use your data well, but back it up wherever you can, because judges can go, yep, and I give that 5 points, or I give that 4 points, or they made a statement, but they didn't back it up. I can really only give it maybe 2.5 or 3 points. So really, I suppose, try and back up wherever you can with that data. Don't use acronyms. I've touched on that one before. And also too, from someone who's, come from a lot of background, a lot of acronyms and 20 plus years in and out of the tourism industry, I get lost in acronyms. I got lost reading Queensland applications when I just didn't know what their Queensland, organisations were. So you wouldn't use acronyms when you're speaking to me. So maybe just think about how you would use them in your writing. So think about it's a judge from Tassie and they're freezing down there. They don't know what TNT is. They don't know what TTE is. They don't know any of these, KNP is not going to help you because they don't know what KNP is. We know it's Kakadu National Park, but they don't even know where Kakadu is. So heaven forbid. But anyway, don't use acronyms. And as Susan said, spelling and typos, it's a real bugbear, I think, for every judge. When you see really basic mistakes there, they're going to get through. We're all human, we know that, but that's where other people reading it will absolutely help you out with those kind of little bits and pieces there. And things that I really loved, is acknowledgement of countries, particularly when you're looking at the Aboriginal tourism categories, but all categories. I loved it when people showed appreciation of their staff, maybe of volunteers, where if you were looking at your festivals and those kind of things, and a love and passion for the industry, because I think that's why everyone's here and everyone wants to join. So that's something to come across there. And probably the last one that I wanted to think about, and it's really that passion, and it might help with number 5, which hasn't been asked, wasn't asked last year, was that thinking about, if you're talking about environmental aspects, when you're thinking about quantities, think about how I might understand quantities better. So I've got no idea what 100 kilos of disposable coffee cups are, but if you encourage people to bring their own keep cups on tour or to your property, then think about, well, is that enough coffee cups that are going to fit into a Olympic-sized swimming pool, or enough to fit into Bully Rock Hole, or enough to fit into wherever it is or whatever it is. So again, it's that writing with passion that makes me visualize and tell the story as to your property and your business and everything like that. So Susan, I think I've covered off all my little points there, and hopefully haven't just gone over everything you've said and added a few bits, but happy for questions or anything further you want me to add.
I think that's fantastic. Thank you, Kirsty. It's really great. So I think, the judges can see your passion, and Kirsty said it really well there, that it comes through your sense of humour. I remember my very, very first Brolgas, when I, going back to the dark ages, we had a fishing operator entered, and in their risk management plan and whatever, the biggest risk was their esky on their boat. Now, Kirsty, you'll laugh at this, because having done accreditation and risk management, their biggest risk was their esky. And you'd think, why?
Went dry.
Well, no, it wasn't dry, but the biggest risk was that the esky was sitting in the sun, and the fishos like to sit on it, right? And they were getting a burnt bum. So this was a big problem for them. And so they ended up buying a cushion or something to sit on top of the esky, so their fishos were more comfortable and weren't burning their bums. Now, the judging panel thought that was fantastic. It was a little thing, but it made a huge difference on their tours. Yes. It has stuck with me for 13, 14 years. So keep that passion, keep that sense of humour. I think, Kirsty, you can see when you're a national judge, the NT sense of humour and the NT passion does come through in the really good ones. So, don't be afraid to put that in your entries. So thank you, Kirsty.
Thank you so much, Kirsty. It was great advice. Fantastic. Our next speaker is Annabelle Curtin, co-owner of Catherine Outback Experience. Annabelle's a wonderful board member of ours at TT as well, and not only a Brolga winner, but a national winner. And my neighbours, I watched the National Awards online. They streamed it live. My neighbours thought Essendon Bombers were playing that night because there was screaming coming from my house when Annabelle and Tom won the award. So, and great achievement. Particularly, I mean, a great achievement to win a Brolga Award for any of our operators, members, but to win a national award, I think it's just absolutely fantastic. And particularly for a small business, sometimes business say, oh, I'm not going to bother because all the big ones win it all the time, and that's definitely not the case. And it was shown even with the other national winners. As I said, I was watching, a lot of small businesses from Tassie and South Australia. So it's not all about the big players. Sometimes members say to me, oh, I'm not going to bother because, the big national companies will win. Well, that's not the case. And Annabelle, you proved that correct.
It's funny because the big players will say at times, we're not entering because, we have to hand it off to our sales and marketing person, or we have to find somebody in the team, and we're not sure that they'll be able to convey the messages we want. So they actually use the reverse argument. So, yeah.
Yep. So we'll hand you over to Annabelle, who will talk about her experience.
Thank you, thank you. So I was going to have a UView presentation for you today, and then I remembered I have a toddler and a 10-month-old baby, so that was never going to happen. So you got me instead, but that's okay. So for us, our Brolga journey to winning gold at the National Tourism Awards has been a 7-year process, if my maths is correct. Susan can probably correct me here, but yeah, yeah, I was working it out last night. So yeah, 7 years. But it started, I think the first one we submitted was back in 2014, which was actually before my time at Catherine Outback. We won the Business Growth Award in 2017. And that was probably a bit of a change for us. And we started to get the processes in place. And that sort of led to 2018. We won the Best Tourist Attraction at the Brolgas and the Visitor Experience category that I don't think is on there anymore at the Brolgas, as well as bronze at the Nationals. 2019, we won the Best Attraction again at the Brolgas. And 2021, we were very fortunate to win Best Tourist Attraction and the Chairman's Award at the Brolgas. And then this one, which you can't see because it's left in the background, but I'm really excited because it actually only arrived here in Catherine 2 days ago. So we didn't actually get to the award ceremony. We were in the gated state of WA at the time, and it was too risky to leave. So we didn't actually get to the award ceremony because there was a chance we wouldn't be able to get back. So we sent Tom's brothers, and they took it their own way, didn't they, Michelle?
They did well.
They put their own spin on it.
Yes.
But look, participating as Susan has pointed out, participating in the awards isn't just about winning. And as I said, it's been a 7-year process for us, but it's actually been so valuable for our business. And so valuable for the growth of our business. So the awards process, as Susan pointed out, is essentially a business plan. For those who are new to this, it follows the structure of a business plan, and you'll start working that out as you work through it. For us, it's forced us to stop and review our goals and numbers every single year. It's actually now we use the Brolgas to essentially write our goals moving forward for the next year. It's that time of the year we now use towards essentially business plan for the next year. It's helped us establish new processes around recording and reporting. I'm pretty excited this year, after 7 years of doing it, is actually the first year that everything for us is digital. So back in the day, everything used to be recorded with the 1, 2, 3, 4 line through it, number of guests through the gates. And I'm not joking, you guys are laughing at me, aren't you? And that was just the start. That was a small business and the way we started. And it's the way, I guess, in 7 years, how our industry has evolved, how our processes have evolved. And it's a lot of that has had the Brolga Awards in the background, because every year you go, God, I'm so over sitting here counting up these strikes on a page. How can we make this easier? How can we make this more efficient? How can we make this more accurate? How can we press a button and that information be generated instantly? It's helped us identify gaps in our business. So a few years ago, I was sitting down writing the submission, and it was in relation to the customer service question, which is probably my favorite question in the Brolgas, by the way. I'm really passionate about customer service, and I think anyone in tourism is. I think for you guys, this will be the one that you'll enjoy answering. And it dawned on me while I was sitting there saying how good we are, that my team actually didn't have a lot of that knowledge, or the why. They didn't understand why we were doing things. And I'm going, and we do this, and we do that. And I was like, hang on a second, our team don't even know why we do this stuff. And so my point being, like, going through that submission process has actually made us realize there's gaps in what we're doing. And then we actually went back and did some training with our team. We created this cool document that explained the why to them. And it's actually been a bit of a game changer. Something so simple has been a game changer for our team, and how they work, and understanding that we're in the business of people and not so much in the business of training horses and dogs, which we do. But it's these things that change the way you operate, and then change the way your customers experience it. And then I wrote about it in the next Brolga Awards. So it all sort of comes back around. It challenges to challenges us to do better and be better in our business, and maintain a measure of business excellence in everything we do, from implementing staff retention strategies, to thinking about our environmental footprint, how we can improve. And it sort of becomes back of mind in all our decision making that we do. So you sort of do things, you go, oh, actually, I should write that down because that's going to be really useful for when we talk about it in the Brolga submissions. The work that goes into that, as I mentioned before, the work that goes into it then becomes our business plan for the next 12 months. So that's been really useful. A few times we've gone for business loans, and that information is readily available, bang, straight there to the bank. And if we hadn't gone through that process, we would have then had to have gone and done all that work anyway. So it's important to think of this as more than just writing a submission, and the benefits it actually has for your business, and planning for your business. The other one that's been huge for our business, because we do live in Katherine and we do go away for 6 months of the year traveling, has been the networking and marketing opportunities. We, like all of you guys, we're all small businesses. We struggle to get to see other operators and to see other businesses and to see other experiences. And through this process, you get this really cool network, or this relationship building, and even the marketing opportunities that have come from it for us has been really, really important, particularly as we are a bit more isolated than some of the other businesses around the place. And of course, the territory is so isolated anyway. So some of my biggest tips, I guess, for those writing the submissions, and this is sort of what we've learnt through trial and error and making mistakes, is, and I think it has already been said, but it's just so important, is make the judges fall in love with you and your story. And that, I think, is just so important, and it comes through in the judges' feedback all the time. And so I always start our submission to try and break the judges, almost to make them laugh, make them cry, make them, make them want to be doing your experience, as Kirsty mentioned before. My mistake in the early years, I used to write it like a corporate document, and Susan can probably, I don't know if you'd remember that, Susan. I came from a corporate background. I sit there and write it like a corporate, and it was so boring. It was so boring. And then, but you've got to remember that people reading these, the judges reading these, they come from a tourism background. They will have a sense of humour. In the short term, as a territory awards, they're Territorians. In the bigger picture, they're still tourism people. They're still people. They've got to read so many submissions, make yours stand out, make them fall in love with you. Look, every year it gets easier. It really does. Every submission you write becomes a blueprint for the next year in conjunction with the judges' feedback you get. Follow Susan's guide. It is amazing. So when you first read the Brolga questions, you might think, oh, these are pretty easy. What are they talking about? Like, this is walk in the park. Not all meets the eye. Look at Susan's guide, because Susan's guide is written as a blueprint for structuring the responses to what the judges are looking for. So a 7-mark question might appear simple, but in fact, it's quite lengthy and quite substantial. And there's a bit of a process to structuring those questions. And if you follow Susan's guide, that's your structure. She's been years and years and years in the making, hasn't it, Susan? Use the resources made available through the assistance and supports programs. How lucky are we to have that? I know not all the states have that. Be aware, though, that there's still a huge amount of work that leads up to that stage. It's not a case of just handing it over and going, here you go, write my submission for me, because you still need to go and put the stories together and the stats together, the measures together. You make sure you've got your goals and you're measuring them, and you need to know why something has or hasn't worked. But talk about why it hasn't worked, as Susan mentioned. It's judges love, like they can see, as they mentioned, when it's a lie. Tell them why it didn't work or why you didn't continue with something, because it shows that you're pulling your business apart and looking at it. Back up every statement with an example or case study. Tables and dot points are your friend, a very good friend in this. 10,000 words sneaks up really, really quickly. Not so long ago, the word limit was 30,000. And then it came down. I think last year it was only 8,000 as well, but they've added another section on again. 10,000 words comes up really quickly. And it's once you get to that last week or so, crunching that down to 10,000 is quite difficult. So get everything into dot points and tables, and just make sure you back everything up. Document everything through the year. So this is more getting processes to make, when you're collating all that information, easier. Something I do is I document everything into my, you can't even see it because it's blurry. I document everything to my iCalendar. So if I go and do some training, or I jump onto a TEP workshop, I have it all in my calendar, so that when it comes to collating that information to put into like an infographic, for instance, it's all there, and you just go bang, bang, bang. These are the dates. I did this, this, and this. And then you can talk about it really quickly. And there you go. There's your couple of marks for whatever question that relates to. Save things to a folder on your laptop that you can then use, like screenshot a really cool Brolga review, or screenshot a really bad Brolga review, because then you can talk about it. You have to talk about the bad in it. So keep those close, because it makes writing that submission really easy. Work with other businesses. Last year, we teamed up with Topditch and Catherine Helicopters. And as we were talking through the questions together and brainstorming the questions together, you start thinking of ideas for your own business. I remember in the early days, it's like, oh, why would you do that? Why would you? But it makes sense. We weren't competitors. I wanted to see them do really well. I wanted to see them win. Team up with your businesses that you are mates with and are similar, and let's get as many operators in there as possible, and let's get as many across the line up in the nationals as possible. Don't leave it to the last minute. It doesn't work. Trust me, been there. And if you don't win, don't give up. Look at us. I did it with a 1.5-year-old and a 3-week-old baby. So anyone can do it, right? And that's it from me. Have I got any questions?
Thank you so much, Annabelle. And I think a really important message there is don't give up. You know I talk to some members that I'll say, oh, you're going to enter the Brolga, because I say, oh, we did that last year, didn't get anywhere, and they don't want to do it again. And as you said, it's not just about entering for the awards, it's looking at your business as well. And you won a national award. There's pudding in the proof, or proof in the pudding. Yeah, don't give up. And there is lots of support available. Suzanne's here and available and has been, and we are passionate, and we do want as much representation as possible, not just for the Brolga Awards. We want to show the world and the territory that, hey, we're back. There's still some issues happening around post-COVID, but we are back. And being on that national, and it's a great advertising tool as well. Once you've won one, you can put in there that on your social medias, I'm a Northern Territory winner, I won this award, or I'm a national winner. And that's even more kudos from a consumer perspective as well. I think it's really important, because they do look at those things. So thank you very much for your presentation, and also thank you to Kirsty. Have we got any, I can't see any questions on chat, but if you can't think of something now, email Susan. As I said, we'll send out the presentation, the PowerPoint. We'll also send out the awards guide from Susan, and we are here available. Susan's always available, and it is a passion of yours. Yep. 14 years of looking after the awards. And as far as the quality tourism framework, I've got Shana here and myself to help you through that process as well. And don't forget, if you're a full member of Tourism Top End, we have subsidised level 1, which is fantastic for our members for the next 2 years. So, and that forms part of the question for your business standards. So we're here to help as well. Susan, do you have anything else to add?
No, look, I think just, nominate. Take the first step to nominate, put your nomination in, and then we can start sort of having a chat. And, as Annabelle said, 7 years she's been doing it, and it's obviously her entries and her business has totally evolved during that 7 years. So, think about it as using it as a business development tool, and, let's just start. Let's meet up for a coffee, have a chat, start putting down some dot points, and, I would love to see you entered and, hopefully having some success. So
Now we've got some great businesses,
Yeah.
obviously across the territory, but now we're a little bit biased at the top
Yeah.
end here. It'd be great to have
yeah.
heap of our members. At least have a go. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
And as Annabelle said, please don't leave it to the last minute. I know here, over the years that I've been here, I know it's been like 10 to 12 and they're pressing the button to submit the final submission. So, and technology has a way of playing havoc with us as well. So, definitely get those nominations in. We've had quite a number of people that have already put their expression of interest for the assistance package. Obviously, we'll have to go through those and see who has nominated. Out of those ones that we've received, there's quite a few that haven't put their actual nomination in as yet. So we'll keep in touch with that. They are limited spots for that assistant package, so get in fairly quickly. And I think that's a wrap for the Brolgas for at this time. So don't forget, any questions, push them through to Susan, or if you're not sure, send them through to myself and Shana, and we'll liaise with Susan as well. Once again, huge thank you, Susan, for taking the time today. Kirsty, thanks heaps, and Annabelle as well. Really appreciate your time, and it's great, Annabelle, that you've taken the time, as an operator, working hard in your business to help other businesses as well. So huge thank you, everyone. And we'll see you hopefully online at our next TEP workshop. Keep your eye on our industry newsletters. We'll always be advertising any workshops we've got coming up, not just for Brolgas, but any other things we are doing. On our website also, there is at the bottom right-hand corner, there's member information where we've got a bit of a calendar and just any information for members as well. So keep your eye on that as well. So thank you once again, everyone. And let's see those nominations roll in.
Woohoo, good luck.
Good luck, everyone.
Thank you.